Are you looking for the very best products to protect your digital privacy? Well, Silent Pocket has everything you need with their patented product line of high-quality Faraday bags, backpacks, clutches, and wallets. Visit silentpocket.com today and receive 10% off your order by using discount code Shared Security. Welcome to episode 183 of the weekly Shared Security Show. And joining me this week is a friend that may want to eat your brains, fellow social zombie co-host Kevin Johnson.
You said I was going to laugh. You're absolutely right. I actually thought you were going to say the lovable Kevin Johnson after the previous conversation.
I'll do that next week.
Oh, no. Fellow social time. Man, that was a great... Chris Clymer did those graphics for us, didn't he?
No, my wife did. Well, my wife did the pictures of us as zombies.
Yes. I forgot that it was your wife.
Yep.
Those were awesome pictures.
Yeah, weren't they great?
They were really good.
I'll have to dig those up and maybe I'll put them here in the YouTube video. See,
I've got at least mine still in my photo album, because it's popped up periodically on my Google Home that's on my desk at home that I only use as a picture frame because I think that's cool. But yeah, those are great. Sorry.
That was, and just from a historical perspective, those were the series of talks that Kevin and I gave way back in the day at DEF CON and ShmooCon, and they were quite
fun and
all over the place.
If there was a word that ended in con, we probably did one of those talks there. Yeah. And
fun times for sure. So, so before we get started on this week's episode and topics, I did want to just give a shout out to two of our recent sponsors of the show. You may have heard some of their ads in the show recently, and we just did a sponsored episode with one of them as well. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out because they have some discounts that I think all of our listeners should know about. So the first one is through privacy.com. So that's the company that will give you virtual card numbers. That's actually a great service because you don't have to give out your card number to all of these random sites. You can use the virtual card numbers. And they are offering, if you sign up through our affiliate link, you'll get $5 to spend on your first purchase. So a free $5 is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially if you buy something that's $5.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. So, so you can go to privacy.com/shared security and you can take advantage of that offer. And then the other sponsor to shout out to is ClearVPN. We just did a sponsored episode with them talking about the popular myths about VPNs. So you could check that episode out as well, but they are giving a 40% discount to all new subscribers on any of their subscription of their VPN product by using the discount code Shared Security, all in caps. And that offer is valid until the end of August.
Nice.
So thanks to our sponsors. Yeah. So
now we're biased, but those are good.
Yeah, those are actually really good promotions. So definitely take advantage of those. So now the news. Dun, dun, dun.
You need typewriters going or something.
Yeah, I'll add some typewriter background music. dun, 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 dun. But Pegasus Spyware, once again, is back. I think we talked about Pegasus and NSO Group a while back on the show, probably many times, because
if we haven't talked about them particularly, we have absolutely talked about what a crappy type of service that is, the ethics and morals and scum that do it.
Yeah, it is unreal. So they're back in the news, the NSO Group, who creates this spyware, I guess we'd call it.
They would not.
Yeah, I look at it as a bunch of 0 days that they have in their back pocket and will exploit specifically iPhones, but this also affects Androids as well. So there's a new report from, this is called, I guess, the Pegasus Project. It was like kind of this mass investigation.
Wasn't it done by Citizen Lab?
No, that was another group that has done research
Yeah.
on NSO Group in the past. This was done by a nonprofit, Paris-based nonprofit, I guess through Amnesty International. I guess it was by them.
You're right.
And so they found that there was a leak of apparently 50,000 phone numbers that were essentially targets by NSO Group software, which, by the way, can be purchased by nation states, people with a lot of money. And it was very revealing. They had like 180 journalists and 600 politicians and government officials. I believe the what was it, the French prime minister was a target as well.
One of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and let's be very clear, some of the customers that have leaked about are not necessarily the nicest of people or countries. And
so this is just I guess I'm a little surprised that NSO still is in business, I guess, considering like there's got to be massive lawsuits from everywhere in the world right now regarding this. I don't know, Kevin, what's your take?
I'm angry about it, but that's me. We said that. I talked to you about that earlier. So I think right off the bat, I think one of the biggest problems with this for me is I am such a rabid First Amendment person. And I know I want to be very clear before we hear the legal bad takes. This is not a First Amendment issue, except in my head, the because of the First Amendment, the press is so important that anything targeting journalists like this pisses me off, right? So like that makes me angry. So I want to qualify my anger with that, because Israel, where this company is based, and all of the countries that I read that they had sold to, but I don't doubt that the US government has bought it as well. They don't have a First Amendment, so it's different. But man, this is the kind of stuff that we know happens. We know it happens. There's no way to have technology and not have scummy people target people who aren't bad, right? And so we know 0 days exist. We know the phones are capable of having this happen to them and everything else like that. It just makes me really angry when, especially when you see the scumbag sack of excrement that is the CEO. Notice I tried to keep that so you don't have to change the rating. So I'd like to say more, but I'm not gonna. Like, well, our stuff doesn't target journalists, and we don't know who our customers target. Right. Okay, well then both of those questions can't be true. Both of those answers can't be true, which means you're a lying sack of excrement. And you're a lying sack of excrement because you know that people are being targeted, even the organizations you don't want to have targeted. You are giving a weapon to somebody and then asking them nicely not to do things you don't approve of. Right? It just makes me angry. And the more answers the CEO of the company does, the angrier I'm getting at this. And I will tell you right now, I'm just as angry with every person who works for the company. You work for an unethical, immoral, scumbag organization. And the longer that you let yourself work there, the worse you are. And I believe that ISC Squared and every other certification organization should pull the credentials of any employee at those organizations because of violations of ethics. That's how angry I am at this. They're not gonna, but this is one of those things, right? Do we blame the staff for the ethics and morals of the organization they work with? And I think the answer at this level is yes, right? Look, you're a janitor at an organization like this. You may not know what they do, right? And I'm not dissing janitors. I'm just saying that the janitor doesn't deal with this kind of stuff. But if you're writing 0 days for this company to sell to governments that are then going to spy on people and journalists, you're scum. Sorry, man, it makes me angry. And I'm thrilled with Amazon. I am so happy with what Amazon did, right? They looked at systems. They said, wait a minute,
Yep.
this is being fronted by our stuff. Out of here. Shut it down. That was awesome. And not only did they shut down, like they shut down everything associated with the company that they were dealing with. That is I love that reaction. And before somebody tells me I'm a rabid First Amendment supporter, and I love that, Amazon is not a government agency.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. Just, the term and the phrase "money corrupts."
Yeah,
comes to my mind with this company. They have so much power and so much, money. What good things could they do with that talent and technology and those things? I think that's what gets me upset when you see something that is created that has the potential for good things, but is used in an evil way. And it's all about money, because at the end of the day, they're paying millions of dollars, countries and others are paying countless amounts of money for this technology.
Well, and the jackholes that run this place and are doing this, they'll tell you that they benefit people, like, oh, there's child trafficking rings that so they've been able to shut down. You know what? You're probably right. I don't care. I believe that every child trafficking ring should be shut down. I will also say that every single time I hear somebody say, because that was one of the things they brought up, like, hey, we're helping with, going after child abusers. That's great, except that every single time I hear somebody in charge say, government person, commercial person say, we're going to go after people hurting kids. Every case we then look at, and they're doing scummy things as well. And look over here where we're doing something good to help protect kids, because we're scummy over here and we're hoping you won't notice.
Yeah.
Oh, it pisses me off. Sorry.
No, it's a good rant.
This then becomes a question about, okay, because I'll tell you right now, this isn't in the articles I read, but I will guess, and I'm probably right, that all of the 0 days they have are not 0 days the company found. Right?
Of course not.
There are people selling them 0 days, and we can go into the argument about no free bugs or whatever. I personally believe that people who find vulnerabilities should be paid. I get that, but I want to ask you to rethink who you're selling to, and there is a day where the money you're getting is not worth.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Oh, well, it's killing people.
Yeah,
really.
No. And that's not hyperbole.
Journalists
it's literally killing people. And I mean that in the real meaning, not the social media meaning. Man, this makes me angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, because
sorry, not sorry.
But people who are not angry, I want to question.
That's right.
Right. If you're like, it's not that big a deal for the government to spy on journalists, just please run as fast as you can head first into a door. Please know that. Right. Like, walk up to a random person on the street and say, please punch me in the throat. I deserve it. Sorry.
Well, are you sick and tired of getting your credit card or debit card compromised? Well, it's happened to me in the past, and if it's happened to you, you know it's a time-consuming and stressful process to deal with. Look, credit or debit card breaches are happening all the time because there is very little protection out there to prevent your physical card number from falling into the wrong hands. Well, there is a great solution to this problem, and that's called a privacy card, which is a tool that masks your bank account information by generating virtual card numbers. So if your virtual card number gets compromised, your real card number won't. And on top of that, you can control all of those reoccurring online payments by deciding who can charge your card, how much, and how often. And the best part, you can pause or close out virtual card numbers at any time, which means you have total control over all of your online subscription and reoccurring payments. And right now, new privacy customers will get $5 to spend on your first purchase. So go to privacy.com/shared security right now to sign up and take back control of your online payments.
You want your organization to be secure and compliant and to have a healthy culture, but your employees' lack of awareness makes you vulnerable to data theft, fraud, and compliance penalties. It's frustrating that the boring static training content that's being used today has failed to improve employees' ability to defend against cyber attacks. At ClickArmor, we know that without using gamification, it's extremely hard to get staff to understand how to avoid threats. Our gamified simulations and challenges have provided a 50% average improvement in thousands of employees' ability to spot phishing threats. Go to clickarmor.ca/shared security to get your free gamified phishing assessment for up to 500 employees. You'll see quickly how gamified simulations can help your team be more resilient and compliant and help avoid costly ransomware and fraud incidents. Let ClickArmor help you go from being an underappreciated, stressed out fall guy to being an innovative leader who's the catalyst for greater productivity in your organization.
Well, not to rile you up even more, but the next story this week was another hacker, in quotes.
Please put that in quotes.
Was arrested for his role in the great 2020 Twitter hack, which if you all remember that. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I have Bitcoin to give everybody because of COVID-19.
Yes.
Send me Bitcoin and I'll send you back more.
Yep. So Twitter was hacked. The back end of Twitter, the admin interface was hacked by these individuals.
Wasn't it that they got into the Slack workspace?
Yeah, and they got the
credentials were pinned or something. And
Yep.
Yeah.
So whatever the definition of hacked, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Here, but
I would argue that this was a hack.
Sure.
They had to get into multiple systems to then get into what their goal was.
Mm-hmm.
I'd call that a hack.
Yeah. Yep. So this gentleman, Joseph O'Connor, age 22, he's charged with, of course, accessing a computer without authorization and blah, blah, blah. He was arrested in Spain. The funny part of this story is, well, first of all, his colleagues that helped with this were arrested, I think, a couple months ago. He was, I think, the last one of this group. And he was interviewed, I think, I don't know if
it's awesome.
New York Times or something like a while ago, like last year, like anonymously, you know how like newspapers do that. They don't reveal who they are, but they'll put their handle up or whatever. Yeah. And he said something like, I don't care. They can come arrest me. I would laugh at them. I have done nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
laugh.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah. Now, of course, I'm gonna put this in here. So months from now, years from now, when this case is finally throughout the thing, if he's found not guilty, he did laugh. Okay, because we don't know that he did it, right? Like, all the seriousness, we don't know that he did it. I've got to believe that he's been.
They must have evidence that he did because they arrested him.
They arrested 3 people months ago, and now all of a sudden there's a 4th.
And they ratted on him.
Yeah.
So
that's what I think. And I'm not saying they shouldn't or whatever. I'm not going to judge that. I've never been in that position, thankfully. I don't ever want to. I try to make life decisions that don't involve whether or not I can rat on somebody else. And so far, I've done well at that.
Yes.
So, man, this one's weird. I think that the attack was interesting. Organizations need to, I know here at Security we've looked at it and said, okay, do we have anything in Slack? Because we use Slack, right? And that's not private. We have a public workspace that we let people come into for our classes and stuff like that. And if you thought we didn't use that ourselves, you're not paying attention. But we actually sat down and okay, is there something that we don't want? And I'm happy to say that there was nothing in our Slack workspace that we were not aware of. And I say that from a perspective of we didn't pin credentials and stuff like that, but we do talk about work we're doing in Slack. So, while we work with code names and things like that, that is sensitive data, but not this type of sensitive data. And I think all organizations, this isn't just a Slack thing, right? How are your people communicating? How are they storing stuff? The number of organizations that we've compromised because we found a spreadsheet with credentials or, I try it in your organization with permission. Go to your intranet and search for the word password and click on the 5th or 6th page of results. Because like the first few pages of results. Don't ignore them, but like the first few pages of results are like, here's where the password is, or here's our password complexity. But about the fifth page of results is that jackhole in IT that uploaded an Excel spreadsheet, right? Or
a Jira or a wiki or
Yep.
any of those intranet type systems. You'll be surprised sometimes at what you find.
And I've had customers, we'll do that to them and with permission, and the customer will come back and say, well, why didn't Nessus find it? I'm like, I bet you if you look at Nessus, it tells you there's a intranet there or a Wikipedia or a wiki there or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It wrote it as an informational finding. People just don't look.
Nope.
And so, yeah, I think people need to really evaluate what they do internally, what their processes are. And from a perspective of, if the random UK citizen living in Spain got access to that system, what could they do?
Yeah.
Right. So
yep.
That was a good one.
It is good. I know. Yeah. So, so I hate to bring up Print Nightmare again and bashing on printers.
No ransomware.
No ransomware, but maybe
no ransomware.
Maybe printers are the new ransomware. Right?
Oh no, don't
trend.
The printer Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, no printer Pearl Harbor. But it seems like printers have been in the news more recently, and this story I think adds to kind of the fuel there. There was some news about a 16-year-old security bug affects HP, Samsung, Xerox printers. I mean, those are like the major brands of printers out there today. And this bug has been undetected since 2005.
Yeah. Now, the thing that I wasn't real clear on, like some of the articles I read implied that somebody found the bug in 2005. It wasn't fixed. And then now recently it's come back up. Other articles were like, oh, the driver was released in 2005 with this bug, and nobody found it that we know of publicly until this time. So I'm not real clear on that. I will say either way, that's messed up.
Yeah. It's a driver issue too.
Yeah.
So it's in the drivers that you install, that essentially makes your printer work and communicate with your computer. So, it just seems like there's more of this trend now of these old bugs that are just coming out. People are discovering it, and now companies have to scramble to figure out a way of, patching for these things is near impossible. On the consumer side, it's a nightmare.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible. It's just not done.
No,
it's not. Right. People don't mess with it. And all seriousness, I can understand why in many cases, because I'll tell you right now, we've got a printer at home, and Denise works from home. Like, she runs the company, but she has an office here at the office, but the vast majority of the time she's home with the kids, homeschooling, dealing with all that. And she prints. And I will tell you that every single time we've had to update the drivers on her computer for the printer, she fights with the printer for 2 weeks. And it's just, and to the point where if I say to her, as we're looking at for this one, right? Okay, I got to do an upgrade. She's angry. And I use her as the example because while she's not a technical person, she's not nerd. She runs a business. She thinks finances. She thinks that kind of stuff. She's security aware. She's more security aware than the average president of a company. She understands the attacks. She knows that we're targeted for stuff. And she complains the entire time I'm upgrading her printer. And very often she will make me wait, because she'll be like, no, I have stuff I'm working on that I have to print. I've got to deal with this. Don't break it today. I'm working on this stuff.
Don't break it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I heard, like, to the point where, all seriousness, we have bought a new printer because it was easier than dealing with the upgrade path of a printer we had.
Wow.
And it's miserable. And that, like I said, that's from a person who gets it, right? She's smarter than your average bear, other than in picking husbands. And so oh man, this one's a pain in the butt.
Totally. Well, that's all we have time for today, but I wanted to thank you, Kevin,
Thank you.
for coming on the show again. And we'll be doing our monthly show here shortly. So gift card scams. So won't tell those stories now, but
just send me your gift cards.
Yeah,
that's the scam.
Send all gift cards to Kevin. He would appreciate it.
Gift card at securitios.com.
That's right. We'll see where that email goes.
It doesn't go anywhere. Maybe I should set that up now that I've said it.
Now that you've said it publicly. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week. That's all for this week's show. Be sure to follow the Shared Security Show on Twitter and Instagram for the latest news and show updates. If you like this episode, please hit that like and subscribe button, and please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast listening app. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.